You have to wonder why it's left to this show, of all places, to announce the rising star, the next rising star in the Democratic Party. But it is, so we're going to. It's a woman called Tiara Mack. You never heard of Tiara Mack? Well, maybe that's because she's a state senator in the country's smallest state, Rhode Island. And you have to wonder why. This is a woman with demonstrated talent who has, as she announced on social media just this week, an Ivy League degree from Brown, but still technically Ivy League. Famous people send their kids there. Whatever, it's Brown. You should be impressed. And she's an amazing performer. Here's her latest campaign ad.
Vote Senator Mack.
So you ever have those moments where you see something and you're like, oh, that's the future. That's what it looks like. We saw Tiara Mack, head in the sand, twerking, and we thought, man, that's the Democratic Party 2020. So not everyone liked it, and she responded this way on Twitter, quote, damn, twerking upside down really makes the conservative, unhinged internet accounts pop off on Monday. And nevertheless, she wrote, I'm really excited for the House sex ed bill hearing later today. Teaching comprehensive, queer, inclusive, pleasure-based sex ed was a highlight of my time teaching. And you got to wonder, since she just summarized everything the Democratic Party is for, why isn't her own party embracing her? Why is she still a state senator in Rhode Island? Why isn't she Secretary of State? Why aren't they pushing her for president? Oh, she's not old enough. Really? Because the racist Constitution said she's not old enough? Why not change the Constitution? Why not make Tiara Mack your standard bearer in 2024? But they're not. They're pushing Joe Biden. He's like 100 years old, pale, stale Joe Biden, and then Hillary Clinton and Pete Buttigieg. Again, talk about systemic racism. Tiara Mack, 2024. She ought to run with the guy in the dress who oversees Biden's nuclear waste program.
All right, when did we get the first Tiara Mack 2024 ads? Because I mean,
that was it.
They keep parading Joe out there and letting him just like fumble and bumble his way through barely coherent sentences. I feel like they're setting something up so that before June they'll be able to just oust him and at the DNC convention be like, all right, this is the person who's going to actually be our candidate. So when do they officially announce that it's Tiara Mack and we're gonna have her? We're gonna have her
the day after the
DNC
convention
stage,
or the day of the convention, is what's gonna happen.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be the best. We'd have so much material. We'd have to do a 24/7 show.
Oh God, just keep the stream rolling, and then whoever can pop in just pops in. And never-ending coverage of Sarah Max twerking at the DNC.
Oh, Wayne says the tagline should be Spank Bank 2022.
A good pleasure-based campaign. Yeah, man. It's
her running mate
makes you happy.
Her running mate could be that dude that was in the Senate chambers getting his
getting railed.
Yeah. That could be a running mate. There you go. The Democratic platform putting it to you every
2024.
putting it to you every day. There's the Democratic platform.
Clapping cheeks in both kind of ways, like.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
They dusted off the old Hillary robot and got her out and about. Looks like something for Joe, but maybe she's waiting in the wings. Hopeful. Yeah.
Look, she's gonna be twerking. That's what's gonna be the new campaign.
Oh God.
Man, at Hillary Clinton's age, if she tries to twerk, she's gonna break a hip.
Well, especially given her health problems.
No, she's a lizard. Lizards can do that. Lizards can move all kinds of ways.
On the verge of death, like 8 years ago, wasn't like on the campaign, like collapsing and shit.
Yeah, she collapsed on the campaign trail. I think that's actually maybe what pushed Trump across the line the first time, like whenever he won.
That was the body double. That was the body double person.
It's just crazy that I did the quick math in my head and realized, yeah, that was like 8 years ago. That is insane. Oh my god.
Yeah, the last 8 years have flown by.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Since 2016, it's just been going.
I just remember waking up the next morning. I mean, I seriously thought Hillary was going to win, and then I woke up that next morning, and we still had a clock radio for our alarm, and they were like, "Yep, Trump won the presidency," and I was just like, I just laid in bed and just laughed, hysterically.
I was shocked as well.
And then I pulled up all my friends' Facebook accounts to watch them just mourn, and it was just so beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Our most crazy outspoken liberal friends, they went like dark for like 5 days, dude. They didn't, and that was so hilarious to me because we had this. Her name was Gwen. She used to be a neighbor of ours. She was a very sweet lady, but like insane, fucking, online all day, occupied Democrat sharing kind of stuff, and we were like, oh man, I want to see what old Gwen's posted today, because she was just so confident too the weeks before that obviously Hillary was going to win, and made a lot of statements as such. And yeah, dude, she didn't make a post for I think it was at least 3 days before she finally had some. Oh well, then it was I heard a couple weeks later, she, people make a post yelling at somebody.
That's the biggest thing is that I wonder is do those people deny the election?
Oh yeah, the whole thing was a cover up. The whole Russia thing it was a cover up. It's not it was a cover up by the Trump, not the the Hillary. And then I ended up during COVID unfriending her because I just couldn't see her shit anymore. But what's really funny is it was I don't know, a few weeks or months afterwards, she was. The post where people are yelling at somebody who isn't reading their thing. So she's like, to the person who I saw, what do they call the diesel rolling coal shit? The big, fucking stacks. Person I saw doing that, rolling coal by the poor black family who was walking down the side of the road. Oh, you think because your candidate won, you can just come out and treat people? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? People are like, what are you talking? She's like, well, I know he didn't vote for Hillary. And I'm like, probably didn't, but I don't think that he's like, yeah, Trump's in office, I'm gonna go, roll coal with black people, probably not what happened. He was probably just,
it's probably just a dude wanting to freaking spin his tires, rev his, typical redneck behavior, Southern redneck behavior,
Yeah, dude. It's not, doesn't have anything to do with the presidential election, bitch.
My favorite comment from a friend was, he didn't even win the popular election, and she's tearing, she's in absolute tears while she's saying this.
Well, I thought the funniest thing about the post 2016 was there was plenty of election denial from the left and saying that it wasn't legitimate, but all of their denial was based around Russian collusion, but the whole Russian collusion thing came down to not that Russia was tapping into voting machines and changing vote counts and stuff, but that people were hit with a disinformation campaign, and so because of that, they voted for Trump. And if they knew the truth, they wouldn't have voted for Trump. They'd have obviously voted for Hillary. It's okay, so your whole thing is people are too fucking stupid to be allowed to vote on their own. And if you just if you can sway them one way or the other, and yet y'all still think that voting is actually a solution to anything, come on. Nobody was saying that. Everybody was saying that the election was illegitimate because of Russian collusion, but Russian collusion was just that people had disinformation and voted for Trump instead of Hillary. That was it.
Some of them did say though, it wasn't all of them. I think that became the majority narrative, but there were a lot of them that said, oh, they hacked the machines and got him elected. There were some. It wasn't.
Machines are infallible. Hold on, Clyde wants to say something.
I don't think that like CIA collusion, right? It was just propaganda. That's all it is. Collusion, this Russian collusion, it's just propaganda. And like the FDA just got told to take down their posters about ivermectin. The government does this all the time. If you're too retarded to figure it out, like Justin said, don't maybe not everybody needs to vote anymore.
Well, not everybody needed to vote ever. The whole founding fathers thing, they put it together where not everybody could vote. that's a relatively new thing that I think probably has come about since the creation of the 19th Amendment, that everybody needs to vote. Like, not everybody needs to vote. There's certain
13,
certain percentages of the population that should not cognitively qualify. If I can get the word out.
Certain demographics, yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
There's no rule, like, if you're, let's say someone is like straight up, like, I don't know, 50 IQ retarded, like, are they allowed to be wheeled into the voting booth to
Yes.
supposedly vote
Yes.
for themselves?
Why do you
not
think they
whoever
go to
gets their
nursing?
finger?
Why do you think they go to nursing homes and just have people like scribble on a thing and then they fill out the ballot?
Oh, yeah. Guess that makes
Are you
sense.
saying my grandmother's
Ballot.
retarded?
Yes.
Ballot harvesting.
Well, I mean, come on, man. Look
That's the
what-
ages and stuff there, huh?
look what came from her right there.
Damn.
Jeez,
That's rough,
that's
Steve.
rough.
Rough, Steve.
Yeah.
You know what else is rough?
Go listen here.
What else?
What else is rough?
Here, listen to this.
Sandpaper.
Home in Florida. NASA just saying that the culprit came from the hospital.
This is unbelievable. Check out the damage to this family home in Naples. Look at that. That's a big hole. This debris ripped that hole through their roof, barely missing their son. NASA scientists say they expect
Right.
space trash to burn up upon entering the atmosphere, but not this one. It made it. That's the junk. The 1.6-pound metal object
junk.
in the family's house. Listen to this. 3 entire years after entering the Earth's atmosphere. So just hanging around up there. Agency will investigate its processes to try to make sure it does not happen again. Is that not the first thing I said?
At least nobody got hurt. Like, that would have been bad. Like, I mean,
Yeah, man. People have been hit by meteors before. And I remember as a kid, I used to read like all like phenomenon like aliens and ghost books and like real supposedly quote unquote real stories and shit like that. But that was one of the things they accounted for was like in one of these books was people have been hit by like meteors and shit, and they're like it's happened like half a dozen times. Now that's like a crazy story, but really what's hilarious about this is what I'm about to play, and it's their jargon between the two retarded news anchors. This is pretty good.
I said,
Oh,
wait,
God.
it's just been floating up there?
I assume so. I mean, it's quite the distance
Yeah.
from the start of the Earth's atmosphere
I mean,
to that home in Florida.
I thought gravity would, just.
Well, it probably, just had to get towards the gravity and boom,
That is
down in
crazy.
the house. Thankfully, the
Had
sun
to
was okay
get-
though. but
It
that
had to
was
get towards gravity, guys.
Dear God. So
That's
since
come
we're
on.
doing news anchors,
Stuff there.
can somebody pull up that thing I put in the signal chat?
Oh
I
yeah.
can't pull it up.
I'm pretty sure. I know we've done that on here before, but that's fine. It's
Sorry,
it's
never
timeless.
mind.
No, it's timeless. We'll do it. Let me, give me a
Oh,
second to
God.
pull it up here.
Yeah, I mean the news anchors are not the smartest group.
No.
Beer. She
Yeah,
means,
you don't like news anchors? You don't like old people?
she means beer. Thursday, partly sunny skies and 57. And to another woman who likes to be double fisted in a different way, I think, Jess.
She means beer. She means beer. Guys, she means beer.
Thursday.
Look at this comment. What does double fisted even mean? That's not a thing. Well, obviously, you don't have an imagination, buddy.
Oh God.
yeah. It's like-
I've got 2 fists. There's at least 2 places to put them.
yeah.
Oh God.
I come up with
Well,
something.
or if you
Clyde's
can
out. Clyde
squeeze
just
two-
jumped out.
if your hands are small enough, you can squeeze both.
Yeah.
You gotta have
Hey,
small
he's gonna
hands.
pop
though.
back in and
See,
show us what double fisted
you know,
means.
see, I got these big hands though, so there's no way that I can do any double fisting.
You need nice small carny hands.
Yeah.
I don't know. Steve would have to be the one to name off the Motown bands. I don't know that many of them.
Oh God, I don't know any of them either. Although I did meet somebody that supposedly was a singer-songwriter in Motown during their heyday recently.
Motown. It's
Don't remember her
Is it-
name.
that's not Detroit? Is that Motown?
Yeah,
That's Motown.
yeah,
Is it?
yeah.
Okay,
Detroit's
that's
Motown
Motown.
Records.
No.
Oh,
Motown-
that was just
Motown
an old
Records is
joke,
in
not even a
Detroit.
Detroit joke. I didn't even. Sorry, it works on 2 levels.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
There
what
you
were they
go.
playing at the sock hop you used to go to in high school? Oh shit. Oh, you're gonna pay me $100 for all my, or $100 for all my songs? Thank you, Mr. Barry Gordy.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
So
there
I
was a
was
lot of
looking
money
up-
being made, and it wasn't by the songwriters.
Yeah, it's the reason like IP again, like it's just like you're like, oh, but you need IP to protect the artist. I'm like, look at how IP has been used to fuck the artists, in the past, really. So I was trying to find Florida news today, and the big story, besides the piece of space junk, which I'm going to bring up, who cares? Bob Graham, who was like a senator in like the 80s, died or something, and that's, I guess people liked him. That's all the news. But then there's this other thing, which I don't know. I guess we can talk about it. Old to Satan signed a couple new bills. One, he's banning. So some cities are trying to put like mandatory rules for water break balls and shade requirements for construction, farm, and other outdoor workers. Which you don't need a law for that shit, right? Like I've never worked somewhere where somebody would deny me a water break. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. And if you do work somewhere that somebody would deny you a water break, quit. You know, like
yeah. Don't these people know that they can just like go get another job? I mean,
yeah. So
Well,
of course,
but I mean,
it's not people who actually work
if it's-
outdoors who putting this bill out there. It's some fat fucker in Miami who is just trying to put this through.
He's trying to buy the. Yeah, he's probably trying to buy the like regular average man vote. But like, yeah, see, I care about you, y'all. I'm up.
But
I
see,
may
that's
be up
not
here
getting-
in the
that's
country
not getting-
club. But
That's not getting the average man vote. The average man knows that that's not a thing that needs to be done. He's getting the white woman vote. The ones who will never work
agree.
outside at any point in their life and have no idea how it actually fucking works.
yeah, true.
Have I told
I've
you the
seen
story
how
about the
foremen
time
are
the,
on TV. They're mean. So he's banning those laws from Florida, basically. So they're not allowed to make that rule. Which, cool, I guess.
DeSantis has had a few instances of late where like idiots will try to put forth some sort of legislation like that, and then he basically just steps in and says, no, we're not going to do that. That's fucking stupid. Like he's picking up wins off the ground because the left is so fucking stupid that they just leave him laying there for him, and he can just be like, oh yeah, this is dumb, we're not going to do dumb things. And then everybody can be like, yay, you're not doing dumb things, not over legislating bullshit. Like why can't the other Republicans figure out how to just like pick up easy wins off the ground and not fucking bumble everything and be like, oh, well, instead of doing that, we're actually going to put this other thing in place. And, and it's like, God, go shoot yourself. Fuck. Like, just be smart.
well, and I think part of me
Well, I
thinks
mean,
that
occasionally
DeSantis
he
has
has
them set up
the-
this stuff. He's like, DeSantis is like, hey, man, can you do this for me? And then they like go and do this thing.
I just think they're true believers, bro. They're just true believers.
And it's a win for all of them, because DeSantis, it's a win for him. Oh, look what he's doing. And then the people who would vote for the person who put that bill forth, they still get the brownie points of trying to do this. They're still going to get reelected by their constituents. Miami.
Like, look, I'm trying, but your evil governor is preventing me. Like, like that.
And it's
come
not-
on, man.
And it's
At the
and it's
end
not
of the
swaying
day, they all
anybody.
go to the bar and have a drink together, and
I don't think so. I don't
You're
think
letting
all
your
of them.
your libertarian come out. Both sides are equally bad.
No, they're both evil. One's more evil than the other one, but they're both evil.
Yeah, but I don't think they're friendly evil. I don't
Not
think
in
all
Florida,
of them.
anyway.
Yeah, not Florida.
Not anymore.
Nationally,
not anymore.
maybe.
It was that way probably 20 years ago, but not anymore.
But
I mean,
the
I
nugget
don't
of
really
truth in
see
there,
Rand Paul having drinks with like Chuck Schumer. Like Rand Paul is not having drinks with Chuck Schumer. That is
but
just
look
not
at
happening.
the only reason I say that is because look at the times where like Bill Clinton and Bush and Obama are all hanging out together. Like,
they're upper echelon
That's
for
a
sure.
different-
So they might be a little above the regular bickering. But if nothing else, to your point though, Steve, I do totally agree that like they both need each other, right? Like like DeSantis needs these dingbats to put forth bills like this so he can be the hero, and then they need DeSantis to crush them so that they can come out and go, look how evil DeSantis is, reelect me. Like they all feed on each other, even if they're not friends. Like
it's a symbiotic relationship for sure.
Yeah, it's yes, exactly.
Well,
So
like
that's why it's like frustrating.
With the ex-president thing, there's so much pomp and circumstance around being an ex-president, and they have them all. Like, there was an article that was written a few years ago about like George W. and Michelle Obama and how they've become good friends because it was one of those things where every single fucking government function, the way that they seat them, the two of them always end up sitting next to each other. So, like, they've kind of developed a rapport over
Bush
the
likes
years.
that BBC.
Yeah, well, that too. But
let me paint you like one of my Iraqi soldiers.
It's like one of those things that, like, literally for the rest of your life, you're going to be stuck in situations where you have to be next to these people, whether you like them or not. So either you make the best of it, or you make it miserable on everybody every time you have to go to one of these events. And it's like,
or you just don't attend, and it looks bad on you, which is like the Trump, I guess, like that's why he's gotten some kind of flack, because he was, the president, and then he didn't come to the inauguration and things like that.
I mean, why would he? They keep trying to arrest him for bullshit. They said they're gonna arrest him if he goes to his son's high school graduation.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Wait, what is this? I didn't hear about that.
He's gonna get he would get arrested. Like he has to be at the deposition or whatever where they're laying out the charges.
These psychopath New York judges keep bringing him up on new shit.
I think it's Georgia this time, though. I think it's Georgia this time. Is it not?
I'm pretty sure it's New York. Again, these like psychopath judges keep bringing him up on new stupid bullshit, and every time they bring him to court on the new stupid bullshit, they make new stupid bullshit rules for what he can and can't do. And so this time they told him that if he goes to his son's high school graduation, that he'll be arrested, that he has to be there for this bullshit deposition or whatever.
So thank you very much. We had some amazing things happen today. As you know, my son is graduating from high school, and it looks like the judge will not let me go to the graduation of my son, who's worked very, very hard. He's a great student. I'm very proud of the fact that he did so well. I was looking forward for years to have graduation with his mother and father there. And it looks like the judges are going to allow me to escape this scam. It's a scam trial. If you read all of the legal pundits, all of the legal scholars today, there's not one that I see that said this is a case that should be brought or tried. It's a scam. It's a political witch hunt. It continues, and it continues forever. And we're not going to be given a fair trial. It's a very, very sad thing. In addition, as you know, next Thursday, we're before the United States Supreme Court on a very big hearing on immunity. And this is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And the judge, of course, is not going to allow us. He's a very conflicted judge, and he's not going to allow us to go to that. He won't.
All right. Is there anything more interesting in this, or how much longer is it?
That was the main part. That was the main part that day.
He's
also not getting. This one is a New York, like apparently.
The hush money. What is that? What do you gave the money?
Is that the Stormy Daniels thing?
I say, they're bringing the Stormy Daniels thing back around, aren't they? After that's already been like.
There's a different thing where like it's. I think they're trying to get him sort of on another sort of campaign finance, something like that he was paying from finance, paying off somebody or something like that. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at it, but I think it was it's related, but not exactly the Stormy Daniels thing. I think, but related in that way of him paying somebody.
So are these hush money? Are these judges that are bringing up that are allowing these trials to go on? Are they federal judges or are they state?
I think they're state of New York judges.
Okay.
Yeah, New York State.
Because I mean, like every federal judge. He should fire every single federal judge that was ever appointed by Obama and just fill it with like Bob from down the street. Just screw them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bullshit. Like this is the stuff that makes me want to vote for the guy, and I don't want to vote for the guy. I don't like him. I don't like any of them. But this stuff makes me want to vote for him just to put your thumb in their face. Like, it's just so maddening.
Look, this is not like we talked about with like saying, the libertarians need to run Josh Smith as opposed to somebody serious.
Yeah.
Like this is not an election for picking the best candidate. This is an election for picking the person that's going to fuck the other side as hard as fucking possible. Like,
exactly.
This is like the revenge cycle. We've gone past civil politics. It's time to fuck everybody.
Or as our friend from 2-Bit Podcast says, the vengeful son. Does it fit in that category?
No, not exactly. But you're
okay.
close.
No,
you're on the right track at least.
But so here was the actual charge. I just found it. Apparently, he falsified business records when he. Oh, it's still related to Stormy Daniels, but they're saying he falsified documents and classified them as legal expenses. So normally this is.
Well, wouldn't it be legal expenses if you're paying her to shut her mouth?
Yeah, I would say it's coming back to the Stormy Daniels thing that's already been. The Stormy Daniels thing has already been dismissed because there was nothing there to begin with. Like, I don't know how long ago was that? That was in.
Now they're basically saying he's committing fraud because he's saying that it was a legal expense when he paid her, and then it was a legal expense. I don't know.
Yeah, everything about it is bullshit. They keep losing, so they keep trying to bring up another thing that's complete and total fucking bullshit that they're going to lose. Like they're trying to build this. They're trying to build this case that look, Trump has been indicted on so many different things. He's unqualified to run. It's like how many of those has he actually been? How many of those has he actually been found guilty of any type of like anything legitimately illegal? Like even in his defamation case, they didn't find that he had done anything, but they still said that he had to pay her X amount of money. Like,
well, I know what he did that's illegal. He's a white man in America. That's what he did that's illegal. So this is Joy Reid.
This bitch.
In prison. But for me, there is something wonderfully poetic about the fact that despite the fact that even if convicted, he's not going to go to prison, the first person to actually criminally prosecute Donald Trump is a Black Harvard grad, the very kind of person that his former staff, the people who worked for him, Stephen Miller, et cetera, want to never be at Harvard Law School. But he was. And he came out and graduated. And he's prosecuting you, Donald. And a Black woman is doing that same exact thing in Georgia. And a Black woman forced you to pay a $175 million fine that's out now also in question because the people who put it up, that might not be legit. Donald Trump is being held to account by the very multicultural, multiracial democracy that he's trying to dismantle. And for me, there's something poetic and actually wonderful about that. It says something good about our country that we're still.
This insufferable bitch.
What are the odds that Joy Reid's IQ breaks 85?
I love the last line. The last line was my favorite. Go DEI. My DEIs are bringing it home. So that's the new slur. It's like she just gave it the new slur.
What are the odds that Joy Reid's IQ breaks?
What's up, my DEIs?
Oh my gosh. Every time I hear her talk, I wonder if like she's progressively getting dumber every time they put her on. She's like Monster Girl from Invincible. Like every time she turns into a monster, she gets younger. Every time they bring Joy Reid on camera, she gets dumber.
Yes. Well, I think this is fitting after that.
Okay, so I lived in France for 5 years and have never heard white people say the N-word so much. Also saw like 3 or 4 cases of blackface. The weirdest instance for me was when one of the first years I was there, I was like an English teaching assistant and I had a group of students and we were doing a lesson on the civil rights movement. So I started off by being like, hey, what do you guys know about this from the US? What do you know anything? And one kid raises his hand and is like, yeah, it's when N-words wanted more rights.
I love it.
Oh, you gotta play the rest of that one though, because it gets better. Because
sorry, I gotta go back to it. Hold on.
Let's say because she said she like gave the class some sort of like fucking lecture.
Hold on. Let me pull it back up. Talk amongst yourself. I'll be right back.
There are clips that you cut off mid clip because they just keep going and with insanity. And there's clips that you let run. And this is one that you got to let run because like the story just gets better as it goes.
Give me 1 second here. My computer's slow.
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Okay, go for it.
I showed this to Sean earlier today. He was rolling. I'll tell y'all what he said whenever it gets done.
But after that, I was like, A, we're not saying that. That word is like not allowed in my classroom. And B, at classroom full of white students, like, if you guys are saying this word, I can't stop you outside of this classroom, but this is what it means. This is what it means about you and your beliefs. So after that, for the rest of the school year, whenever the boys from that group saw me in the hallway, it was a chorus of people just shouting me. Okay, so I lived in France for 5 years.
Chorus of people just shouting to him. Oh, that's
And
great.
see, like the thing is, there's not that same stigma in a lot of Europe and honestly, a lot of the rest of the world that words have here. For all of our, First Amendment freedom of speech, there's a lot of shit that you're not supposed to say for.
Locally, yeah.
It's not even supposed to say, it's allowed to say.
Right. And
Well,
they don't have that same stigma.
You can say it. You're just gonna face like really harsh like crackdown. Like you're gonna get an HR talk at minimum and fired at worst. So I mean,
yeah.
So I showed that video to Sean. He was like, "We probably wouldn't be able to do like a chorus because if other teachers heard, we'd get in trouble. But we would do it real quietly right at her where just she could hear it." Like talking about him, and see, I have some hope for the next generation because like the shit that my son and his dumbass friends do, like they're like fully embracing. And the funny thing is, to some extent, some of the things that they are embracing are just to be contrarian. But then when you have conversations with them and start to explain to them, oh, well, did you actually know? Then they're like, oh, well, fuck. I was like accidentally right. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I have the same with my son and his friends. I mean, the jokes that they throw around are interesting. They're good. They're actually really good. But yeah, I have the same experience. Huh?
Yeah, the thing that I think is so funny is that they're doing it to be contrarian, just to push back against the bullshit that they see in society. But then when you have conversations with them and start to explain to them certain historical facts and other things, then they're like, oh shit, I was actually right. I wasn't just being an asshole. Hey, well,
let's see.
Yes, but also, yeah.
But see, I'm just told that every young generation is just too stupid that you're like nothing is ever going to come from the next generation ever. They're just all suck.
That's just your generation, Trey.
Yeah, it's just my generation that everybody hates the most. Like everybody just hates.
What
my
generation are you?
I would be like late millennial. Yeah, I'm like zillennial, kind of like Zoomer, almost Zoomer level.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, you're definitely hated the most. Yes. Other than boomers, you guys are hated.
Yes.
Well,
Dag, are you Gen X? You're Gen X, right?
There's no point hating.
No, I'm like
all gonna die
first
anyway.
year of millennial. I think millennials started like 83.
But we just have to cheer all like.
Yeah.
Justin, come on, man! You got to be Gen X, right?
83.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
So I'm not technically Gen X, but I have always Dad went to so when Dad was on the Ag Credit Board, they had like these big workshops and stuff, and one of them was like talking about lending with the different generations and the way that like the boomers, Gen X, and then the millennials kind of viewed the world and the way they behaved in and like how you had to go about looking at lending patterns and stuff with the sort of shit that they were doing. And Dad came home from this conference. He was like, so you and your brother are 2 years apart. He said, but you are completely on the Gen X side of that, and your brother is completely on the millennial side of that. Is like, Like that's interesting. Like looking at holy.
I'm assuming
shit, I don't
the
even know
lending
how you
patterns were
fucking
like
do that.
I'm
Well,
assuming
with like the millennials is like don't. Is the lending pattern with those don't? Just
don't
give
lend
them
to
money.
them. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I thought it was talking about like their
Well,
habit
yeah,
of getting.
but there's spending behaviors, work ethic, general like demeanor, and the way that they kind of approach problems and like the world and stuff. It was interesting. I actually have a. It's somewhere in my desk at home. I've actually got a pamphlet from it that kind of does an in-depth look at the different generations. And then I went to a leadership summit a couple of years ago that had kind of an updated version of it. And so it looked at those three generations, and it also was talking about like
Zoomers now and everything.
Yeah, Gen Y or Z or whatever they're being called, the next generation after millennials, and kind of looking at trends that have been emerging with them as they've slowly been entering the workforce and stuff. It's very, very interesting stuff. I know it doesn't apply perfectly across the board into like every generation, but if you haven't ever spent any time like researching that stuff, it is definitely worth it. You can get a lot of when you look at different patterns and things that happen across society through that metric. It makes things like you can see trends a little more clearly and understand why certain things happen. It's
a view across time, right? Like you're seeing a view across time of here's the timeline, here's the people involved in the timeline, and what how they behave in that society, and you can kind of draw conclusions from that, like
and it's like studying demographics in any variety. Like if you're looking at Asian versus Black versus Hispanic versus white versus Muslim versus Indian, like if you're looking at demographics and the way those different groups behave, like all of this like melting pot shit, it's all well and good, but you have to understand the individual pieces of the melting pot to understand how it's actually going to work. You can't you can't just throw all of these groups together and think, okay, happy. No, it's going to be like the
they have their own preferences.
Right, it's going to be like the analogy of the red ants and the black ants in a jar, and they're all being fine until you shake the jar up, and then now they all want to fucking kill each other. Like, you have to understand this shit. Like, no, we are not all equal.
There's a good book that I like. It's called what is it? Ethnic America by it's a Thomas Sowell book, and I think he wrote it in like the 80s. But yeah, dude, it goes through like 11 different ethnic groups and sort of how they came to America. And of course, it's through the lens of economics, which is how, I understand the world. It was awesome. But it's, it talks about reasons. It's things like, okay, let's say the Japanese that came over here originally, they were, because of they were only allowed to come over here for certain work and this and that. And it was like only men. So a lot of times, like, oh yeah, it's like it was like 2% women and 98% men for the first like 30 years, and then so how did that affect, just their integration, just everything, and it goes through, Black, Japanese, it goes through I think like Mexican,
I like
other European ones, Jewish,
well, that's
obviously.
one of the things that like as the information and everything has kind of evolved over the years of researching this stuff, like you can't just label it as Hispanic because you got Guatemalan, Honduran, Cuban, Mexican.
Those are all separate
South American, and like they and
no,
they all
they're
feel
not.
differently
They're all
about
the
each
same.
other. Asian, Korean, Filipino,
I don't remember.
Japanese, Chinese. Like some of them really hate each other. Like they might all be Asian, but some of them are considered less Asian than others, or who was it? Carlos? I know you're watching.
Don't Mexicans hate Guatemalans? Like,
yeah, Carlos. Which ones are the Hispanic niggers? Like, there's one specific group that's
and who are
for
Mexicans?
Real.
Mexicans? Who comes in and does the shit work that Mexicans don't want to do in Mexico?
Right, like
Every country has
when you
Mexicans,
start looking
and
at
Mexico
those,
has.
My God,
Mexicans.
when you have a Mexican turning down the shit work, man, you know it's bad. Like,
We've talked about every country has Mexicans, right? They have another country that comes in and does their work that Mexicans do for us here. You know, they all do.
one like white people are the same way. Like you got Irish, Italians, you know, English, Germans, like and the different.
No, we all
and
look
even,
the same and act the same.
And even
no,
like
we don't
Scottish-
count Dutch as white people, man. Dutch
even
are
like
not white
Scottish versus Irish versus English, even though they're all basically the same, they're all very, very different. Like
and whites. Puerto Ricans are usually reviled among Latinos, and white people too. They don't tend to like Puerto Ricans. I went through a pretty solid phase of.
See, I thought it was
Ricans.
Guatemala more than
Yeah,
more
I
than
mean,
Puerto Rico.
Top Lobster's a good guy though. He's Puerto Rican. So there's one that we like.
So, well, one of the things, and on that point about like the different, even like in that book, he talks about like with blacks, he's like, dude, like, you know, like, and this doesn't apply to like island people when they are just shipped here for whatever reason or whatever's going on with Haiti and the border, whatever. It doesn't apply to that, but the ones who come here like on their own accord and like they're from the islands are like ridiculously like economically successful, you know. But it's, you know, yeah, they had the gumption to get here. And then if you meet the ones from like the islands who aren't that tier, they're not very smart a lot of times. They're pretty low on the totem. But the ones that come from like came like, dude, they run like here by us, dude. Every hotel is an islander person. They have car mechanic shops, all the enterprise rent a cars, they're all islander people and they fucking work, dude. And he explains in the book, he's like, well, they do better than American blacks because you look at just the way slavery was in America versus in the islands. And in America, they were kind of cared for. And in the islands, like, it was a lot rougher. And it was like, no, here's your acre of land. You grow your own food. You build your own house. You're on your own. You just report to work and cut sugar every day. So it was a much more, like, they had much more, like, they had to take care of themselves kind of attitude, you know, than American slaves would have been, you know.
You just got to watch out for the Haitians, man. They
American slaves were treated as property, and by and large, they were well cared for because you didn't want, you didn't want something happening to your property that you had spent good money on. Whereas the Islander slaves, they were treated like, basically like it was like a fiefdom.
Indentured servitude.
Right. They were indentured servants. They didn't have a choice to go anywhere. They had to stay here and work. But at the same time, it's like, if they die, they die. We'll get more sent in. Like we didn't,
yeah.
You know, they're here for
plenty more where that
to
came
do
from.
a job. Right.
Well, and they also like up in Michigan in the summer is when all of the Islanders come up here to work at the hotels or work at, yeah, it's amazing how many people flood into at least Michigan for that stuff.
Yeah,
Yep.
There's also another book that he did, that Thomas Sowell did like that, talking about black rednecks and white liberals.
I've read that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I don't
pretty good.
remember much of the details from it, but it was alright.
That one.
Yeah, you should read that one.
But yeah, I think he goes through a lot of the things. Like I think that's the book. I could be wrong about this, but I think that's the book where he's like, yeah, a lot, like when slavery ended, a lot of them didn't leave the plantations. Like, where are they going to go? And honestly, a lot of time, I'm not saying slavery's okay. Obviously, it's not. I don't think I need to make that asterisk. But I'm gonna. Also, while we're on things
did we talk about the benefits of slavery on Monday?
Among other things that don't need to be mentioned, I'm also against pedophiles. Just going to say that too.
Hey, Hillary Clinton brought back slavery into the Middle East.
You have to clarify all of it, Dag. Like, you have to say everything that you think is bad. You
Well,
like,
dude,
you have to go down the list. That's how the left does it. Like, they have to go down everything. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. Like,
This even applies to some people in like our circles who are like very anti-pedophile, which is great. Like, it's just one of those things. It's like I didn't know that really needed to be. I know somebody who like they had shirts made about like pedophiles belong in the forever box, and it was a coffin, and I'm like, do you need a shirt that says that? Like it's just one of those things I didn't think needed to be said.
Lately, yes, you do, because they're coming back out of their holes and they're being a lot more bold.
Look,
with what
as
they
long
wanna
as
say.
you're a female school teacher, it's allowed. Okay, for some reason, apparently it's
Yes.
allowed, and you know.
So I was listening to Skanks yesterday, and they were talking about this movie Milk Money from like the '80s. Have you guys ever seen it, or are you familiar?
Oh, I remember that one. I don't. I
do
remember
remember
the
that
name of
one.
the movie. I remember the movie. I don't remember what the whole premise was. I think that like
I haven't seen it, but basically it's like these kids like 9-10-year-old kids like hire a hooker to like end up being like they want to like marry their dad or something, but they like hire a hooker and like the hooker like shows them their tits and shit, and it's like that like in the 80s it was like funny, like hookers were just like funny people in the 80s. Now it's sad, right? But it was Melanie Griffin.
Yeah, I mean, now they can make better money
the chick
on
who did like
OnlyFans,
10 movies about hookers. But they were saying, they're like, it's kind of funny as the hooker showing the little boys or boobs, and like, yeah, I guess if Clyde were here, he'd tell us it's rape. But but it is a lot less disturbing than if it was a man showing his private parts to a bunch of little girls. Like there is a difference there.
if it was Joe Biden, you mean?
Yeah, like,
well,
it's like,
I mean, I don't dispute that. I just find it funny that the way that people just so nonchalantly like handle it, like as far as like the fact that they're a lot more okay with like little boys being mistreated, like even in the other direction, like they're like if it was a little girl that got let's just say this, a little boy gets raped or little girl gets raped, like they're gonna be more sympathetic to the little girl, like regardless of like if the circumstance was worse for the boy or something like that. Say he also got beat and he was raped. A little girl got raped. That's more important. Like that takes priority. I mean,
but I think it's also. You're right. There's also like if it's
just weird.
The boy, if it's the rape is by like a woman, then it's like if it's like by
no,
a
I
man.
mean like a man, like even a man, like even a man. I'm saying like even if it was like a man.
Yeah, by like a woman, it's like
it seems to be. You're right.
Nice,
you're right. Right. It seems to be less severe if it's a guy doing, or if it's a woman doing it, than if it's a guy doing it. Rather, regardless of what the other end is, it's.
We'll have to track this boy down and give him the luckiest boy in the universe award.
Well, that and you see people that are like, oh, I remember my teacher was hot, and I want it's like, yeah, but.
That's such a sick situation to actually have.
Yeah.
Twisted.
Well, I think too. It depends. Like there are some circumstances where like okay, if he's like about to turn 18 and she's like 22, 23, I really don't know what other than like the way either the strict legality, if it's if their state laws is like 18 or whatever, and she has to wait until. I don't know. Like there's some weird gray area, and that's where like a lot of people get confused. That's why I hate that whole discussion of anything.
Yeah, it sucks. And my capitalist brain, I'm just like, well, the real problem is that she's being unprofessional, and she shouldn't be allowed to teach. She's gonna. You're not supposed to date your students. Like it's like a big thing. Like it's like that's unprofessional at the least. You shouldn't be.
But you become like there is some like level like okay, coworkers like can't date each other. That's kind of weird, but like a weird rule that a lot of companies have, like coworkers can't date. Like you're gonna be around somebody all day, and if you haven't met someone, like those are like really weird rules to institute.
Well, they'll complain about coworkers dating, but they won't complain about coworkers having an affair.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
That
they're okay with, because like at least the person they're actually dating is not. You're just it's a fling, okay? Like that's just a fling.
Got to get that tension out somehow.
Yeah, right.
Get the sexual tension out, and then you're done.
Yeah. Get back to work. It's the kind of thing. It's like it's like if like hooking up with somebody at work, you have to be careful with, especially if it's a job you plan on being at for a long time.
It actually doesn't, Wayne. Like it's only like if she's a 5 or above, like the guys will be like, oh man, I wish I had like she could be a solid 6, and guys will be like, oh, I wish I had a teacher like that. It doesn't matter.
Lower standards as a team.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, adults, like grown men, like saying, like, "Oh, if I was, that guy, I would be so happy." Or something. Like it's like she's a hard 6.
So
like,
happy.
Well, the Mary Kay Letourneau, that was like the first big one that came out, like the teacher that got. She actually married the dude. They were married for a long time, and then he left her after like 20 years.
I mean,
That
there was always
a lot about the Deborah LaFave one too.
But she was married. Like that's like she was married, had kids, and then was banging some like 17-year-old student.
Almost all of them are married. There are very few that are single.
That just tells me their husbands aren't taking care of business at home.
Or she has different ideas. That could also be the thing. She has different plans, or she doesn't tell the husband.
Yeah. I mean, that's not always.
I'm just saying, if you're dicking your wife down properly, she ain't looking for no 17-year-old. Inexperienced little wimpy ding dong. Nah, she's getting what she needs.
We actually had.
It's about the prestige too. Like she's like. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if she's dating she's married to
is he the
like
quarterback on the
a
football
worker.
team, or what are we talking here? Yeah.
Yeah. Like if she gets the quarterback. Yeah.
That might play a role there.
The status, she banged the high school quarterback who had the most touchdowns. Like she can say that.
Okay, here's the crazy part about that Mary Kay. He was 12 years old when they were getting it on.
Oh, yeah, that's young.
Yeah, that's
14 is the bare minimum. Come on. Get it together.
My God, now we're gonna have the age of consent.
Stephanie
age of consent is whatever her dad says it is. That's my. If you were gonna pin me down to a rule on age of consent, it's gonna be when her dad says it's okay. That's the
Hey, see, this is just bringing back arranged marriages again.
Now, okay, when her dad says it's okay, but then now you have Joe Biden.
Yeah, well, you can't make a rule that's gonna apply to everyone and work out all
I'm just
together.
saying.
Yeah, so I'm saying if you're gonna
that
pin
only
me down
applied
on
to his
something,
own daughter though, with him. Not
That did. That only applied to his daughter. You're right.
With him, not with anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some political friends.
Yep. Passed her around a little bit. Ugh.
Stephanie and I just started watching Quiet on the Set. We watched the first episode of that last night. The thing about like Nickelodeon in the 90s. Whew. I mean, the first episode alone was hard enough to get through.
What is that on?
Max, HBO Max.
Okay. What is it about all the pedophile shit going on there, or what?
When Dad says it's okay, when she's 30, like
when she's old enough to leave the house, then you're kind of out of the realm,
Right.
But yeah, it's the
right. Once you move out, whatever the fuck you want to do, okay, like it's on you. Don't come crawling
I'm
back.
a big look, man. There's fucking cultural shit, and there's fucking families and this and that, and if the two families like each other and fucking agree, I don't really give a shit, dude. Like if their kids, or one's 18 and one's 17 or some whatever the fuck, I don't give a shit, dude.
Arranged marriage is at 12 years old.
Yeah, and I mean, I know people in like the libertarian space who are like, no, you need to be 24 before nobody should have sex before the age of 24, and I'm like, no, you're just being insane. Like, shut the fuck up. Your brain isn't finished developing till then, and I'm like, yeah, sure, but good luck applying that, because that's
you got to start it. The bad part of that conversation starts out when you say from the Libertarian Party.
Well, I didn't say Libertarian Party. I said Libertarian-ish friends.
Sorry.
My Libertarian friends are not a capital L people. I've never endorsed a Libertarian candidate or anything on this show.
Dag's never voted for anybody, period. He's
not even Joe Jorgensen. She was so awesome. She was the best candidate they ever had.
I voted for Gary Johnson in 2012. Was the last time I voted. And I might have voted in the state election to like legalize.
Was 2012 the Aleppo one? Or was that 2016? It was 2016.
That was 2016, yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I thought 2012 was the end of his career.
2012, basically. He seemed pretty good in 2012. It was 2016 where it was like, ugh. He smoked way too much dope between 2012 and 2016.
It happens. It happens. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's a dark note where we went down that road.
Only votes for American Idol. Oh man!
Remember, you
didn't
used to
they
have to
kill
call
off
the
American
phone to
Idol?
do that?
Oh, that was so stupid. That was so
Wait, what
stupid having
happened?
to call.
Well,
Like,
back, and I never did, but I remember when
Wait.
American Idol was like
I
new,
did.
like 20 years ago.
Oh, when you
had to
called
vote,
in to do your
like,
vote?
Yeah, you had to like call.
Was it
and-
like, okay, was it like movie phone where it was like, if you want Bob, press 1. If you want,
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Yes, that's exactly how it was. And it was always stupid because like you know obviously
call 100 times.
Yeah, I mean it was exploitable. Like people would just sit there and just like call again and again and again.
Does Clyde know he's muted?
No.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Unmuted.
There you go, Clyde.
I was saying, Steve and I the only ones that like didn't vote on like American Idol or Dancing with the Stars or any of those programs. Because it sounds like you three know exactly what you're doing. Me and Steve are kind of confused.
No, I never voted. I just.
I think
remember...
that says a lot about the people on the show right now.
Yeah,
I think we've got appreciation.
We had an antenna and we had to watch American Idol.
Let's go this
White
far. I've
Claw.
never even watched an episode of those two shows.
See, I used to like American Idol.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never
like
watched
singing. So
I've never watched any of them. I take that back. I watched one episode of American Idol because I had a friend who went to one of the auditions in like Nashville or Memphis or something, and she was going to be on. So I watched the one episode that we knew she was going to be on because she was going to be on, and outside of that, I've never watched it. It's kind of like, but it was one of those things like it was a cultural phenomenon at a time. So like everybody watched it. So even if you didn't watch it, to say that you didn't know anything about it would be a lie.
Well, I mean, like Carrie
vote.
Underwood. You know, Carrie Underwood won the American Idol one time, and then
Was that
that's
where
how
she came from?
Yeah,
Seriously,
that's where she.
I don't know. Like that's
Yeah,
just,
that's where she came from.
No, there's this cultural phenomenon for like pop weenies, dude. Like, don't group me with you. I don't want that.
I mean, the problem is they didn't have real music on there. It was all karaoke.
Yeah, I had a friend who auditioned, and she said that they told her.
You mean
that-
original music, right? Like because I mean they're doing real music. It's just they're karaokeing for other like.
Yeah, it's just live karaoke. It's all it is.
Yeah, but they're trying to actually improve their art form, the art form of like their singing, and they're trying to get better and improve. And
why are you defending these people
challenge.
today?
Because I liked
he was
the
the
show.
only one that had any talent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, Daughtry? Daughtry? Daughtry?
Oh, yeah, Daughtry. Yeah, Daughtry.
Who is? I don't even. Okay, honestly, who is that? I don't
Chris
know.
Daughtry?
Mom music.
Rogerson.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
mom music.
Chris Daughtry makes like 40-year-old white women music. it's like a male version of Evanescence.
Well,
Okay.
and we all know that kind of music is pretty retarded.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.